So every year I play in the Canadian Women's Championship. It's always a fun tournament, and there's also Olympiad and World Cup qualifications on the line, so it ends up being very competitive, and it always ends up in a good fight. So I want to show a game that I played in the last round of the event, which probably turned out to be one of the best games of my life.
Whoa.
And yeah, and hopefully there's something to learn from it.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're always learning something from you every single time, so this will be no different.
Yeah, so just for some context, my opponent was WIM Yunshan Li. She is my Olympiad teammate. And last year in 2025, I was leading the tournament, but in the last round, she actually won the game against me, and we ended up sharing first place, and she took it on tie breaks.
Oh.
And this year, the championship was a bit different because I had an early loss, so Yunshan and another girl, Miley Jadovet, were leading the tournament. So
Oh.
the situation was a bit different. There was a bit less pressure on me. But she needed to win this game to win her own championship. So that's why, yeah, that we met in the last round again.
Okay.
So I was playing as white and she's playing as black, and I played e4 and c5. So the nice or not so nice thing is that in the Canadian Women's Championship, we all know each other rather well because we play every year,
Yeah.
almost the same opponents. And I knew that this girl had a wide repertoire and she could play anything. But in general, she is known to be a very solid player who enjoys a long, calm, positional game.
Hmm.
But here, I think because of the tournament situation, she needed to win to have a chance at first place. And I had not much to lose, so I intended to also play a sharp game.
Okay.
And we got the Sicilian. So I went for the open Sicilian, and she went for the Taimanov variation. So like this, and that's known as the Taimanov. Here, there's a lot of popular moves for white. So in order of popularity, they are Queen d2, Bishop e2, Bishop d3, Queen f3, a3. All of these are very common and usually seen. But I had prepared something else for this game, and I played it for the first time, and it was something very sharp. It was the move g4.
Okay, wait. So, when you say you prepare, did you prepare on your own? Did you have a coach or?
Yeah, so you usually like I just prepare before the game.
Mhm.
So whenever I knew my pairing, like in the evening, I prepare then. This is a line I've known about for a very long time.
Okay.
Actually, a good friend of mine has shown it to me maybe half a year ago or a year ago. So that file has just been sitting there. I have never played it before, and I thought that this would be the perfect opportunity to use it. So yes, it was from a friend.
How cool. Okay. And the purpose of this move.
Yeah, so it's sixth in popularity, so not very popular, but exists. And it has been played by top players before,
Mhm.
just not very often. And the purpose is basically to discourage the knight from going to f6, because there's
Mm.
always this g5 ideas. And in general, just push the pawns on
On
the
the king
king
side
side
makes
if
it more difficult to castle in that direction, maybe.
yes, and usually white will castle long in these cases, so it's basically just the beginning of that usual attack.
Nice.
And honestly, I'm a Taimanov player myself, and I didn't really know about this move until rather recently.
Oh, wow.
So it is a pretty cool surprise weapon, so I can recommend it to if anyone sees it against the Taimanov because I was honestly pretty happy with it, but of course it just happened to work out.
Hmm.
It's I know it's not always like this. So usually the way to respond to it is to play b5. That's what she did in the game. Things like h6 are fine, but usually they're helpful for white in the long run because then you play h4 as well, and then there's that extra pawn that's going to be annoying when white plays g5, so black will have to figure something out for against g5 anyways.
Hmm.
So h6 doesn't really slow it down. And if knight f6, like I said, the idea is just to play g5, and if we get this type of structure, that's really good for white, because now the knight also has to move out.
Yeah, the knight cannot go
So,
anywhere, right?
Yeah.
like except back.
Yeah, exactly. So it just loses some time.
Yep.
So instead, b5, that's the most logical response. And here, the idea behind this line is that we will take on c6. For black, it's always a tough choice of what to take with, like whether it's a pawn, whether it's a queen. So one of them is better. You can try to just guess which one is better.
I don't know. It's it must be pawn takes. No,
So
but your bishop gets so bad when that happens. Well, probably. Oh, it's so difficult. I I mean, if queen takes, maybe. Oh, it's difficult. Okay, now I'm tending more to queen takes, but I don't know why.
queen takes is the better move.
Hmm.
So if the queen takes, usually there's a few lines. White can just play a3 and keep a normal game, but white can also sacrifice a pawn with queen d2,
Oh.
and then the knight moves away. The queen takes on e4,
Oh.
and white has compensation for it
Oh.
in a game like this, but that would be a little bit risky. And yeah, just the game goes on, bishop g2, perhaps at some point, and try to play this with some extra development and long castle.
Hmm.
So that's one of the options. But in the game, she took with the pawn, which makes sense too. But by the engine, the queen taking is better. So this one makes a lot of sense though. So pawn takes, and now queen f3. It might look a bit awkward as a move, but I knew this move, and it just intends to castle long. And the idea is that if you play queen d2 instead, then e5 and the pawn on g4 is not defended. So that's why the queen is better placed here instead.
Okay.
So this was kind of the end of my theory. So I only knew up until here, and from there I just had to play the position.
Fair enough.
And my opponent didn't know it either, so that's good. That's good news at least. So she plays bishop to b7 and I castle. And already, I would say this position is a bit dangerous. Everything looks solid for black, but it's actually just hard to develop because there's kind of a problem with each way that you develop. Like the knight on f6 is a bit problematic with these g5 ideas.
Hmm.
If you play knight e7, well, that's taking a long time to put it onto g6 and play the bishop there. Then I'll play h4, h5 type of stuff. So it's it's just kind of hard to understand how you will castle anytime soon. So maybe for that reason, my opponent thought for 40 minutes, which doesn't happen to me very often, but
What?
she thought for 40 minutes. And usually when that happens, it's because the situation is really difficult and you don't
Hmm.
know what to do. And she played knight f6, which wasn't the best, but it wasn't critical just yet. Apparently, the best move is something like bishop here, which looks a little bit weird,
Hmm.
but there's
Oops.
this and rook here with this type of development, so at least black gets to castle at some point. Things like
Uh-huh.
that. I also looked at c5, which did end up happening in the game, but now there's bishop here, and e5 is not the best idea because it weakens d5, and something like this would be pretty much better for white because of better development.
Okay.
So yeah, she played knight f6 though, and I played g5. I was very happy with it. And here, this was one of my favorite moves of the game. It wasn't exactly the best, but what do you think you would play here?
Hmm. I'm looking at g6, but if h takes g6, it's not that.
So how do you prepare g6 then?
Ah, I see. So, I mean, is h4 too slow? Hmm.
It's probably okay, but there's a faster way, yeah.
Um. Hmm. There's a faster way, you say.
Hmm.
How do you prepare g6?
Well,
Bishop.
you said h takes g6 bothers you.
Yeah. Ah, queen h5.
Close.
Oh,
Queen h3.
oh. Okay, okay. Oh, this is so cool because queen h3 tackles e6
Yeah.
and h6 problems.
Yeah. So
H7
this
problems.
looks like a novelty because nobody has played it before.
What? You
Um,
discovered a novelty, Svitlana.
yeah. I mean, it says that the best move was actually this
Uh-huh.
to provoke e5 and then go back. But I actually really liked my idea in the game,
So
and
cool.
that was one of my favorite moves.
Yeah.
And it is the main idea is g6, which is hard for black to deal with because if taking like this, that's the whole point, is that the rook gets lost.
Hmm.
And if the other pawn takes, then there's a problem on e6. So honestly, yeah, black just has to find a way to defend against it. Here I considered g6, but now there's a few options. There's either bishop to d4 or f4, both which look pretty good. So things like this would work out pretty well against g6, but it was probably still a good option to play.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to ask after bishop d4
Yeah.
in that position, what about e5 exactly?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's basically just to provoke e5. That's the point of bishop
Gotcha.
here. And then
Okay,
it goes
okay.
back.
Okay, okay.
And then the bishop, basically, if it goes to this diagonal, then it's not really working. So it has to go here, after which white can just play like if h4 type of stuff.
Hmm.
So that's the idea behind it. But I might have even played f4 instead because I like the quicker f5.
That's nice.
So yeah, that's what happens on g6. And the best was actually bishop to e7, which I think is kind of hard to see because
Yeah.
after g6, it recommends to take here and
Boah.
play bishop to c8 to stay in the game, which is a little far-fetched, but it it makes sense because now the queen has to leave
Hmm.
and has to go away. So that's why you look like, yeah, you don't believe in that.
No, no, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So in the game, she played, which I think most people would do, try to create some counterplay with her own pawn push, which is b4. My knight now needs to decide where to go, and I played knight to a4, and I thought if knight a4 works, if the knight doesn't get trapped there, then it's really, really well placed. So it prevents any bishop c5, knight c5, and it has some extra threats of rook takes d7 and knight b6, which was nice.
Hmm.
So they're prevented by c5. And now, of course, we play g6. That was the whole idea, and I was very glad that it actually happened. But there is a detail, and it's that the pawn on e4 is hanging. So that also needed to be dealt with. Everything else wasn't really an issue because we would regain the pawn and also bring the bishop out, so this was looking very good. And if anything, like knight taking, this position is also really difficult to play because of this. Well, it's probably just lost for black
Hmm.
to play like this with a king in the center and nothing much in return. So instead, bishop takes e4, the pawn took here, the king took, and now I decided to start with bishop to c4 to attack here, even though the rook is
Yes.
still under attack. But not
Yeah,
really,
who
because this
needs
is mate.
rooks? It's a checkmate.
It's not a real sacrifice yet. So, yeah, so here's where it was a critical moment for her because you really need to defend against this threat. And there's two options. There's queen here and there's rook here. Which one do you think is better?
Hmm. Queen also attacks a4, knight e4, and the rook can get into the game. So, but is there a tricky move which will catch the bishop on e4 is the question. And looking at f3, this might be troublesome. So I
You
go for the
are,
rook.
you're exactly on the right
Ha!
track, and that's exactly true. That is true. So rook e8 was the best move. And here there's nothing immediate. I saw rook to e1. The attack just continues.
Mhm.
There's also f3, like you mentioned, and then there's winning of the pawn on c5. Well, we win it back, so
Oof.
it's not a free pawn, but now it's the pawns are even, but while the attack goes on. So white is winning, but it's very much on the edge
Mhm.
of not immediately just yet. But on queen c6, there was something more immediate. And you were exactly on the right track with f3. There's a few other moves. There's also rook to d7, which of course I calculated, but it wasn't as convincing to me with this. But what I didn't see is that there's knight takes, bishop takes, and knight to c7, which is the sneaky move that attacks here and it cannot be taken because of the queen.
Oh,
So yeah, and bishop
that is
d5 is
lovely.
also not working.
That's
So
hard to spot though.
yes, takes queen f5, I think. So yeah, this one was a bit more risky, and I saw something else that I thought was pretty good. So f3 was okay enough to me. So now the bishop, you were right that the bishop is a bit uncomfy because it has to choose where to go. So for example, if it goes here, now I would play rook and then knight here. And
Okay.
this looks a bit like a bit of a safer option. And white would be well off there. But instead she plays bishop to d5. And here only one move wins. And I really want you to try to find this one because that was the one of the best moments.
Okay. Ah, is it queen f5? Check.
Queen
No, it,
f5 would be fine,
yeah, it doesn't help though. It's
but
nothing. It's not even a pawn.
it's just kind of
When,
even, yeah.
or is it?
Like,
No, it's not.
well, yeah, even black has an extra pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Well,
Reverse.
not, I think we gain back the one on f5, but still, not what we want.
Hmm.
They can even not take, they can even play knight f6, maybe.
Okay. Let's think for a second. Okay. Is it instead h5 check?
So
And
those are still checks to look at.
yeah.
Um, then there's g6.
And then I would take on d5 with the queen.
Yeah, so that's one of the variations I was also calculating. And after this and this, that's the position we get. So equal pawns, and even though it's fine, but it's not quite enough. It's not really the win.
My goodness, you really found a genius move. Okay, one last try.
Yeah,
So that's fun. I hope you're enjoying this too at home. I mean, there's something in the air. It's really funny.
right? I thought so too. There's something should be in the air.
Boom, boom. That doesn't work. That
By the way,
doesn't
the knight on
work.
a4 is hanging the whole time. Nobody
Yeah,
cares about it.
whatever.
Yeah,
Poor knight.
yeah. No, that knight ended up really saving the day,
Huh.
so we'll
Well,
see later.
you had your chance.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another last try. Bishop takes d5, d5, rook takes d5, queen takes back, rook d1, and queen takes d1. And I think
Okay,
white is
so
better. Oh,
like this one.
yeah, or like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a reasonable try, but I think we're down in exchange in the end, which is like probably playable,
Well,
but
it's not ideal.
not what we want. I don't even know if it's playable, but
Yeah, I don't think it's that good either. Oh, I'm not getting it. I'm out of options. I don't know what to play. This must have been a genius move. I'm okay. Let's show us.
everything you were saying was actually very close. It's just that we take on d5 with the rook instead.
Okay.
And then if the pawn takes, the idea is that queen f5 is not an option because of knight covering and protecting that pawn. So instead, there's this queen h5 check.
Nice.
And what happens is that on g6, there's bishop here. And that comes with check. So later the bishop will take, and also the rook on a8 is hanging, which leaves white with an extra piece. And if the king to e7, then there's bishop d5 anyway, and this is just the attack going on while that rook is also hanging in case we want to win back some material. So this is also really good.
Svitlana,
But in
you're a genius.
no, wait, it's not there just yet. You didn't even see the main part.
What?
The main part
What?
was king
Okay.
e6, which was protecting on d5, and white basically needs to play the right move here
It
to.
it looks like the fried liver attack.
Yeah, exactly. But this to me was the scariest moment because it's well, I calculated it when I was sacking the rook, but I needed to find something here to make that sacrifice worth it.
So, this one I can find out though.
Okay.
Rook e1.
Yes, it is Ricky one.
With the threat bishop takes c5 if your bishop will be taken.
Yeah, so anywhere with the
Wow.
bishop, really.
Oh, wow.
It's anywhere would be good.
Okay.
So she plays knight to f6, attacking the queen. And at this point, every move is good according to the engine, but in the game, it's much more stressful because you don't know that. And I felt like any move can let black get away, so I thought it needs to be very precise. So I first took on c5, like you said. Now the king's only option is to go back here. I played queen to f7, and the king went back to c8. It can also go to d8, but the idea is very similar, so I won't spoil it yet.
Now the question
And
is knight b6 or not knight b6, huh?
that was my question too. I spent a long time calculating it,
Yeah.
and I did decide on knight to b6. So it's not the only move, but it's like it's part of the correct idea. So now the king goes to b8. And the one of the problems here is that kind of every piece is hanging a bit.
Yeah.
So this needs to be precise to actually work. And only two moves win here. And yeah, if not, then black will just take these pieces and untangle like that. So now is the final challenge is which move wins.
Ah, that is massive. I mean, bishop taking on f8 looks very simple, but this is an attack which has to work, kind of, as you
Bishop
said. Yeah.
f8 is actually like was one of the options, but then
Oh,
there is rook a7,
ew.
which yeah, exactly. Which is not that nice.
Huh.
And black is actually fine because now they're not getting mated, but and they can take one of the pieces. So yeah, not nice.
Okay. I thought about rook e6, but it's too slow. The queen will just take, and there's no real threat again.
Rook e6 is one of the winning moves. I didn't see it, but
Okay.
that is one of them.
I mean, the
But the
idea is to take
idea,
the knight, but the queen will give a check on g1.
actually close. The idea is to distract the knight. So
Oh,
rook
that is so
here with
cool.
a checkmate, So the knight has to take, and now knight to d7.
Hmm. With
But there's
check,
one
yeah.
ridiculous issue here, is that on king c8, you cannot take this. Because after bishop takes, black has actually way too much material because of rook a7. So what wins here is bishop a6, very naturally, which
Never in 100 years.
which ends the variation like this. So rook e6 was a little, yeah, it
Oh,
works,
yeah,
but it only with bishop a6.
barely. Okay, so last thought. What would happen with... Oh, no. Oh, no.
You go through all the phases.
Yeah. I thought rook e7 would be the genius move, but it doesn't work.
No.
I am out of options against Svitlana. Please help.
Maybe there's something magical about that d5 square that makes it hard to see, but it is bishop to d5.
Why didn't I see that?
So,
Oh, okay, because, yeah.
and the thing is, I saw this idea
Oh.
when playing rook d5, and there was one thing that bothered me about it, and it was rook a7, which
Mm-hmm.
has been that evil move in all these variations that was making things work for black. So yeah, that is evil, and that's actually what she played. But thankfully, there was something against it. But the idea here is, of course, that if the knight takes, then there's a big problem with rook
Yeah.
here, and the queen cannot take, and the queen cannot really move away because of queen to b7 mate. So yeah, that's basically bishop d5, not really a sacrifice. But this rook a7 move was a bit terrifying when I saw it at first, because only one move wins now at this point.
Mm,
So if bishop here, then black is actually better after
yeah,
rook takes. So
thought so.
that's a bit of a problem. And the other problem is that queen a7 looks good at first, but it's not that good because of bishop takes, and the material is, well, in white's favor by one pawn, but
That's not what
that's
you
not
want in a
really
position like that.
not really what we want in that position. So the only move that wins, I mean, you can guess it.
I wish I could.
Should I tell you?
Yeah, I cannot find it.
Queen f8.
What?
Well, it's just to give up the queen for the piece instead of giving it for free to
Okay,
that
now I
rook.
see it. But still, that's so
Yeah,
cool. With check, you
yeah.
cannot, you have to take. And you
So
get
now
it
the bishop
back.
takes,
Blah.
and the whole idea is that the attack is not over because bishop to d6 is a mate threat. Well, almost mate
Yeah.
because, well, they can, oops, they can cover with the rook, but that's not enough. So right
Uh-huh.
now, white has two pieces for the rook, which is a good enough advantage, but it's bishop d6 that's the main threat. And the whole funny thing about this variation is that black cannot defend against it. They can put the rook on the d file,
Mm-hmm.
but the bishop comes here, and the rook is actually just stuck. There's only this square that is working. So that's where the rook goes, but now it gets kicked out again. And if it goes to d3, then there's king c2. So the rook actually just has no squares
Proper.
on that file, so it has to move away, and then I play bishop here and rook e7. So that's why I think it was one of the best games I've ever played, because I don't get such clean attacks very often. You know, I usually mess up somewhere in between. But here, even though there were some only moves, it really worked out. So yeah, and in the final rankings, I ended up placing third. So after Miley Jadolette and Yun Shan in second. But I was happy with how I played, especially in the last game.
Hmm.
And even though it's not official yet, but I'm fairly sure that I'll qualify for the Canadian Olympiad team now, and we will meet together in Uzbekistan. So hopefully I'll be able to make it there.
I am looking forward to that. How did Yunshan Li feel after that? Was she in okay spirit because she got second place after, or was she a bit crushed?
I think she was a bit crushed.
Mhm.
She had a flight though right away, so she had to leave anyways. So I didn't really see much of her reaction, but yeah, I do think she was upset.
Yeah, but she
But
will
we're
probably
always,
also do it
yeah, go
to.
ahead.
She will probably also go to the qualifiers, right? Or is it not clear yet?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we should, like, all three of us should be on the team because we're some of the more active players
yeah,
nowadays.
yeah,
But obviously, like, we all play against each other, even though we are on the same team when we play. Sometimes, like, once a year, we do have to play against each other, and it's always a bit sad when one of us like wins,
yeah,
but yeah, it's both ways. I think we're both like we're all used to it.
yeah.
So sometimes it goes her way, sometimes it goes my way. So this was the first time that it did because last year she won the championship in the
Mm,
last round against
mm.
me. Yeah.
How awesome! Thank you so much. Super nice lesson, Svetlana. I hope you enjoyed it
Yeah.
too at home,
Thank you.
and we see each other soon enough. Until then.